When my wife Olivia texted me, "You're on thin ice," I laughed. It looked like one of those playful, sarcastic messages couples send when they're teasing each other. But something in me knew it wasn't just a joke. We'd been drifting for months. My efforts to reconnect met with cold smiles and half-hearted excuses. Olivia worked as a senior HR manager at her firm, confident, outspoken, and admired by everyone, including me once. But recently, she'd become different. Her work events were stretching late into the night. Her laughter on calls wasn't the one I knew. There was a certain tone in her voice, sharp, dismissive, like I'd gone from being her partner to her employee. That night after her text, I asked, "Rough day?" She replied with a shrug, "Not really, just dealing with a few idiots at work. One of them's getting too friendly." I didn't know then that she wasn't talking about a coworker hitting on her. She was talking about herself. The following weekend, we attended a company dinner. She looked stunning, but her attention was everywhere except me. I caught her exchanging glances with a man at the far table, tall, charming, her co-worker, Nathan. When I asked who he was, she smiled. "Relax, Michael. He reports to me." Reports to her. The words lingered like poison. Later that night, I overheard her laughing on the balcony, whispering into her phone. I couldn't make out much, but I caught one line clearly. "Don't worry, he's harmless." That was me, harmless. I didn't confront her, not yet. But the next morning, while making coffee, I noticed she'd left her work phone on the counter. A notification flashed. "Nathan, last night was worth the risk." I just stared at it. A week earlier, she told me I was on thin ice. I didn't realize she was already skating toward the edge herself. For the next few days, I lived in silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that hums with questions you already know the answers to. Olivia moved through the house like nothing had changed. She smiled, kissed me goodbye, texted me random emojis during the day. But now, every laugh, every late-night team dinner sounded like a lie rehearsed too many times. I didn't explode. I didn't beg. Instead, I started paying attention. I noticed her perfume changed, muskier, not the floral scent she used to love. Her passwords changed too. Even the way she dressed shifted, less professional, more daring. Small things, but to a man whose wife just joked he's on thin ice, they felt like red flags planted in fresh snow. That Friday, she told me she'd be out late again. "HR review meeting," she said, rolling her eyes. "Don't wait up?" I nodded. "Sure, stay warm." She smiled, kissed my cheek, and left, unaware that her phone had synced with our shared cloud months ago. At 10:47 p.m., a new batch of photos uploaded automatically. Most were innocent. Dinner plates, wine glasses, the city skyline, until one caught my eye. A reflection in a restaurant window. Olivia leaning in close to Nathan, his hand brushing her knee. Her smile wasn't professional. It was personal. I remember just sitting there in the dark, phone in hand, heart pounding so hard I could hear it. I didn't feel rage, just a strange, sharp calm, the kind I used to feel right before walking away from something already broken. The next morning, I acted normal, made breakfast, asked about her night. She lied effortlessly. Just office talk, politics and paperwork. But I did know something else. The irony. Olivia, the HR manager, the one who trained others on ethics, harassment, and professionalism, was about to face her own version of policy review. I backed up the photos and messages, quietly, methodically, the way a man does when he knows he's no longer the fool, but the witness. By Monday, she got another message on her work phone. This one wasn't from Nathan. It was from HR. Please report to the compliance office for a mandatory review. Today at 2 p.m. When Olivia came home that evening, her confidence was gone. Her heels clicked on the floor like she was walking through glass. I looked up from the couch, pretending not to notice the storm in her eyes. They called me in, she said quietly. HR. They said there's been a complaint about inappropriate conduct. She tried to laugh it off, but it came out shaky. Can you believe that? Someone's jealous or trying to sabotage me? I didn't answer. I just asked, did they mention who filed it? She hesitated. Nathan's name came up, but it's nothing serious. They just want to ask questions. I nodded, pretending to be supportive. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But she didn't know what I knew. That her company had strict zero-tolerance policies, that the anonymous evidence they'd received, the messages, the photos, the timestamps, had all been compiled neatly and sent in from a private account, not out of spite, but out of justice. She played her game on thin ice. I simply made sure the cracks showed. Oh, by midweek, she was a shadow of herself. Pacing, crying quietly in the bathroom, snapping at me over nothing. The woman who once laughed about putting people on thin ice now knew how fragile it felt beneath her own feet. Friday morning, she got the call. Olivia, the voice said, flat and professional. After reviewing the evidence and interviews, we're terminating your employment effective immediately. Please return your badge and company property today. She stood there frozen, phone still pressed to her ear, her face pale. They can't. I didn't. But the line was already dead. That evening, she sat on the couch staring at nothing, the same place where she'd once laughed at me over a text. I walked past her quietly, grabbed my coat, and paused at the door. You told me I was on thin ice, I said softly. Looks like it finally cracked. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't wait for her reply. The sound of the door closing behind me was the cleanest silence I'd heard in years. Because sometimes karma doesn't shout, it whispers, your move.